Good morning, boys and girls. We're here today to talk about our very last lesson. We have been talking about something called Discovering MyPlate for kindergarten this year. And our third and last one allows us to talk a little bit more about fuel. You know, in lesson 2, we talked about fuel in our body and helping to make us healthy by the healthy decisions that we make. And we talked about MyPlate especially. And we looked at all 5 parts of MyPlate. We looked at the fruit. We looked at vegetables, we looked at grains, we looked at protein, and we looked at dairy. Also told you that was something that you were going to give us a surprise before we left. So at the end of the table down here, you see a little tiny MyPlate. That's yours. And I'm going to bring it to your school this week, and you are going to get to have that and take home with you. Also, you're going to receive glasses. Some of the glasses that you're going to receive are like this. It may be ones that remind you of Jane Grain, or ones that remind you of Mary Dairy, or ones that remind you of Reggie, Veggie. He's a loud Southern boy. Or they might remind you of Dean Protein. Now, we've learned about fueling up our body last time. Let's talk about how other things work to get fueled up. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about gardening and farming. And so I have my little farming kids up here, and they're planting and doing all of those things and getting ready to take to farmer's market. But to get there and to do that, boys and girls, we have to do something called planting. And we start with very, very almost microscopic seeds. These are little tomato plants. I'm going to show you how tiny they are. And I'll walk up there to you so you can see them. See them in my hands, boys and girls? Look at that. Look how little they are. See? Wow, that's little. Then you put them in the ground, and about 45 days later, if you've had good sunlight, and you've had good rain, and you have nice soil, then you're going to get a plant that continues to grow like this one. We started it from a little tiny seed like that. In about 45 days, you're going to get something that looks like this. This little tomato plant is called a Sweet 100. And from that, we're going to get these little tomato plants. I picked these up at the grocery store so you would know what they look like. I hold them in my hand. See them like that? So, to fuel a plant, it has to have plenty of good sunlight, plenty of good air, plenty of good water, and plenty of good soil. It needs all of those things. Our body, we learned in lesson 2, we need all the parts of MyPlate, all parts of it. We need those to make our body grow and to keep us moving. Like on the top of it up there, it says, eat smart to play hard, eat smart to also do well in school, boys and girls. Now, today I'm going to talk to you guys about a couple of things. Inside of your purple book looks like this that I gave to your teachers, and they have it. On page 20 in the book, look at that, boys and girls. He talked about the steps that Tasty just talked about. All those things that help to make plants grow. Here they put the seeds in, that's one. Then they covered them up with a little bit of dirt. Then they watered them. I told you that was important. Then they begin to grow roots, like our little tomato plant has. Then it begins to sprout, and it makes leaves. And then it'll make flowers for fruit. Pretty soon they'll put all little yellow flowers on this one. It'll turn into these little tomatoes right here. And then it will begin to grow, and then there'll be harvest time in about 45 days. So Tasty's not gotten her garden out yet. Every time I get ready, it rains on me. So I had trouble getting it out in the garden because it makes my soil so moist. So this is something that you may want to do. Again, it's inside of your book that looks like that. So we do want to fuel up our bodies, boys and girls. Let's take just a minute to read about, this is from one of your little books, and today we're going to be talking about Reggie, Veggie. Okay? And this is your little book so that you can go to it after we read today. Here he is, boys and girls. He's a loud, proud Southern boy, and I'm going to read like him the way his voice is, okay? Here we go, boys and girls. I have have. And he says something like this. He says, and you repeat after me, boys and girls, I have carrots. I have corn. I have peas. I have tomatoes. I have beans. I have broccoli. And I have a lettuce. You put it all together and he says, I have a salad. And you say, yum, yum. Sounds really good to me. What do you think, Miss Candace?
Yum, yum.
Yum, yum. Now, the next part of our lesson today, boys and girls, is also going to come inside of your purple book. And it looks something like this, boys and girls, inside your purple book. And it's on page 25 inside of your purple book. It's like that. In fact, we're going to talk about this right down here. It says, how full does your tummy feel? Miss Candace.
Full.
You feel full, Miss Candace, in the morning?
No, I'm just kidding.
You feel hungry, don't you?
Yeah.
We all feel hungry. So let's look at this, boys and girls. And the next one says, how full does your tummy feel after you eat some breakfast? So let's look. Let's do this. Let's do this little exercise. So here's a little balloon. In the morning when you get up, it's probably an empty tummy like that. But then let's put a little food in there. And that makes you feel better, okay? But can you imagine if you ate way too much? That might make you really what, Miss Candace?
Full.
Really full, okay? And if you eat a whole lot more, then you could get a stomach ache. Do you know that your stomach, boys and girls, is as big as your fist? So everybody make a fist and you'll know how big that your tummy is. So you don't need a whole lot of food in there. It just likes a little bit, just like that. In this lesson, lesson 5, it talks about proteins, fruits, grains, and dairy foods. It tells you, it says, circle the vegetables to eat as a snack. So when you do snack, boys and girls, make sure that you look for healthy snacks, like an apple or an orange, or popcorn. Those are all good snacks. Yes, Mary Dairy. Do you guys remember Mary?
Yeah!
Let's say these. Has, make, she, can, likes, and. Mary lives on the farm. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She lives on a farm and she loves the dairy. She loves dairy animals. That's the reason I'm going to leave this book for you. She loves the dairy animals. And she says, boys and girls, it's very important for you to get lots and lots of things. But let's see what she tells about Dot. She also lives on the farm. Ready to repeat after me?
Yeah.
Dot has cows. Cows make milk. Dot has milk. She can make cheese. She can make yogurt. She likes milk and yogurt. Now, boys and girls, I'm going to tell you, if this was a normal year, you would get a little spoon with a little bit of yogurt on it and some granola and a little blueberry. But because of COVID, we couldn't do that. But I will catch you guys up before you leave the school district. Okay? We'll get our yogurt in sometime. She likes yogurt. I love it. She likes cows. food. Okay. Now, how many of you have ever been suspicious of something that your mother did? Raise your hand. And you just thought in your mind, I just don't even know if I want to do that or not. But you make sure you listen to what your mom says and you think about it. How many of you have ever done that? Okay. So I'm going to introduce you to a boy today. His name is Phineas Quinn. And this is Who Grew My Soup? Who Grew My Soup? And it's written by Tom Darbyshire. And it's illustrated by C.F. Payne. Okay? Can you say Phineas Quinn?
Phineas Quinn.
Very good. And I'm going to try and hold it up like this. A boy aged 10 named Phineas Quinn was out playing ball when his mom called him in. It's lunchtime, she said. Here's something nutritious. That instantly made young Finn Quinn, It's yummy, she said, with a smile brightly beaming, as she gave him a bowl of soup gently. Finn looked down and thought, yeah, this vegetable gump, that food I prefer are the foods she calls junk. I like fake colors and flavors and delicious and dandy. My favorites are soda and candy. Chemical additives, yum, they're the best. The snack foods I crave are preserved and processed. I like stuff that is deep fried and loaded in sugar. Loaded in sugar, but vegetable soup, yikes, I'd rather eat a big fat booger. It looks too healthy, I bet it tastes icky. So Finn hatched a plan. Was he going to be tricky? Tricky stuff. Okay, he said. I'll eat it, Mom. Yes, I'll eat it. Every bit of it. If you can answer these few questions. Who grew my soup, Mom? Like you tell me, don't put anything in your mouth if you don't know where it came from. How many of you ever heard your mom say that before? I have. These veggies might come from a weird far-off land like Outer Mongolia or Distania, or they might even come from a place called North Lost Mandu or Timberbuck too far or West Hinderloo. You boys and girls ever heard of those places? I haven't. But look at the size of all the vegetables in his imagination. How big those green beans are. Who grew these carrots? Who grew these tomatoes, those beans with barley, those corns, those potatoes? Who sprouted this spinach? Who planted these peas? And who picked this celery? Now, Mom, you tell me, please. I'll not take one sip of this vegetable goop unless you can tell me who grew my soup. You guys say it with me.
Who grew my soup?
While Finn thought himself so terribly clever, he had never guessed what came next. Never, ever. Out of the sky came a flying tomato with a pot underneath. His eyes popped and his jaw dropped and he fumbled his spoon, and from the sky came a flying tomato balloon. The pilot in goggles was shouting, "Hello!" from a rather large cooking pot hanging below. Hop in, hurry up, climb aboard, tally-ho. Where are we going? Finn asked, almost alarmed. We're going to where soups are farmed. Everybody squint your eyes and pretend you got lots of wind on your face. Oh, he's going so fast. I'm Mr. Matu, the chief soup supervisor. We won't come back until you're superwiser.
What's supervisor?
That means you're going to find out all about soup to make you wise, super wise. Our trip won't take long. No, not at all. No, indeed. The balloon can achieve supersonic speeds. As soon as he said that, they flew away with a zoom and a swish and a swirl and a big sonic boom.
Boy, why did you say Sonic?
Supersonic, fast, very fast.
Just like Sonic.
Finn summoned his courage and he he heard to look down, and he found himself already back on the ground. Finn, meet Farmer Hitchner. Hitchner, meet Finn. Mr. Hitchner's the farmer whose field we are in. These carrots, this field, this farm, they are all his. Hitchner's a genius, a super growing whiz. What carrots? Said Finn. I don't see anything but green stuff. He says they grow underground. They grow in the dirt? Young Finn nearly gagged. Gee, I've only seen them in grocery stores, washed and bagged. Oh. Hitchner took a hold of a green carrot top, and he tugged and he turned and he twisted out. Pop! The most beautiful carrot the world had ever seen, the most perfect that had ever been grown. A superstar carrot, Matu said. It can't be beat. So here's an idea. I'll wash it and you eat it. Finn would rather get cooties, but being polite, he knew he had no choice. He must take a bite. So he tried just to nibble the smallest of munches, and soon he was making great munches and crunches. Hey, this isn't bad. This carrot's incredible. It's sweet. What a treat. Say the roots, they're edible. That's in your purple book too. There's something in carrots, said Mr. Matu, that's good for your eyesight, amazing and true. I eat them quite often. My vision is great. I can see at this moment we're running quite late. So toodle-doo, Hitchner. Come on, Finn. There's places to see where more soup veggies grow. It seemed no sooner than they had left the ground, they had gone across 17 states and were touching back down. That would be like going from Arkansas to California. Everybody blink. It just took them that long to get to California. You wish that would happen to me too. Finn, meet Farmer Perez. His thumb is quite green. The tomatoes he grows are the best ever seen. Mmm, delicious, said young Finn as the red ripe tomato ran down his chin. See it running down his chin? Oh, good, super duper, said Mr. Matu. Superlative, come on. There's lots we have to do. Farm to farm, field to field, whiz, whiz, whiz through the sky. From onions so fine to make a man cry, to potatoes to peas at the blink of an eye. They stalked the best celery, and they got to know the best beans, and they met the best growers to grow the greener of the greens. Mateo gave a cheer at the end of the day. Sorry, boys and girls, my book is just. Mateo gave a cheer at the end of the day. These farmers deserve a big, help me, boys and girls, hip hip hooray! They're all superheroes and they're all super great, and they grow the best soups anyone has ever ate. But it's time to go home now, said Mr. Matu. You have more answers and more work, and my work here is through. I think he says it like this. My work here is through. Because at the blink of an eye, Finn is back at his chair with a big bowl of soup steaming hot still there. I guess I'll have to try it, said Phineas Quinn, being outsmarted as he was. So he opened his mouth and he spooned the soup in. He swallowed and he sighed, and he knew he'd been beaten. That soup was the best thing he had ever eaten. He said, hey, Mom, how come we haven't tried this before? His mom just laughed, and she served him some more. So if you are someone who thinks soup is scary and his face in the bowl makes you worried and wary, take some soup in your spoon and put the spoon in your lips, and then say these words right out loud between sips. Who grew my soup? Say it with me, boys and girls. Who grew my soup? That's what I'd like to know. Who grew my soup? That's where I'd like to go. And a souped-up balloon might drop down from the sky with a friendly old man named Mr. Matu, who will take you aboard, then zoom off with you. It might or it might not, but still either way, any day you eat soup is a soupier good day. What y'all think about that? So I talked about planting the seeds in the garden. Finn got to eat tomatoes. So he was kind of apprehensive about eating vegetables. You know, sometimes we're all like that. I found different ways to feed my grandchildren some vegetables. I had one, Mallory, and she would not eat vegetables at all until I learned to put them on the grill, boys and girls. And once I grilled them, that Mallory, she ate them right up. Let's go back and review just a little bit. We talked today about Reggie, Veggie, and we talked about vegetables. This is lettuce, and it comes from the garden. This is what Reggie's made of. We talked also about in our story about carrots, and they grow underground. This is broccoli, and it looks like, in fact, the green part of the top of the broccoli, guys, that's flowers. So when you eat broccoli, when you eat the top of the broccoli, you're eating the flowers. That's an edible flower. These are cucumbers, and they've got little tiny seeds inside of them. Sometimes you find them very long. Sometimes you find them little bitty. They also make pickles out of these. And this is corn. And in the picture, we went to a farm field too. I don't know if it showed it here. But corn also grows on stalks. And we're planting some down here in our garden. In fact, 2 weeks ago, our 4-H clover buds came up and we planted a garden out here at the extension office if you'd like to see it. And we've got corn growing and edamame, which is a bean that was introduced and came from Arkansas. And so we have edamame growing down here the first time ever. We're really excited about that. And then Mary Dairy introduced us to dairy products. She was the one that lived on the farm. So we have cheese, and this is Swiss cheese. It's got holes in it. This is regular cheese, probably cheddar. And then we have milk. And you know, Miss Candace wants me to always point out when we talk about milk, you guys need to remember that you want to drink a low-fat milk, maybe a 1%, a 2%, or even a skim. You want to drink a low-fat milk because you don't need that extra fat that you get in milk. And last but not least is yogurt. And this yogurt is actually fat-free. On that one. Or, sorry, yeah, it's fat-free, non-fat. On that one. Mm-hmm. That's all I have to say, boys and girls. It's been a great year working with you guys. And next year, Tasty so hopes that we can be back in the classroom with you so that I can see all of you. Don't forget to have your teachers pick up your plates to take home with you, to your parents. And again, thank you for allowing me to be with you in your classes. Bye-bye now.